You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast.
We'll get right into it because, I mean, we got the Stanley Cup going on right now. We got the NBA Finals going on right now. The MLB is in full swing. NFL is starting to ramp up a little bit. You know, you're starting to get some, OTAs in and stuff like that, voluntary, workouts and this and that. And, I mean, what better way to start this? No, not the Stanley Cup. No, not the NBA Finals. How about Odell Beckham?
Yeah, it's a good way to start.
Right?
Obviously, when you see the turmoil already developing in Cleveland from the recent reports from Freddie Kitchens, who is the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, for those of you who don't know, rookie head coach nonetheless, and he's coming right out into the media and voicing his displeasure with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, when you see stories like this developing in the offseason, just based off voluntary workouts, that's what these are. That's what it's been in the NFL. All these workouts, all these practices have all been voluntary. And you're supposed to be there at some degree. I mean, these guys do make millions of dollars, and, there's no pads. It's not like there's heavy hitting going on. You're not getting hurt by doing these workouts. It does nothing but benefit you. It brings the team closer together. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. has been in that locker room for about 3 or 4 months now, technically. And for your coach to already be voicing displeasure throughout the media, then what can only imagine what's happening behind closed doors. It's just like any kind of basically like everyday life. If you see two people arguing, publicly out in like a restaurant or something, like a couple or something, it makes you only imagine what's happening behind closed doors. And that's exactly what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. And Freddie Kitchens is clearly very, very upset over the matters of this man going to the first workout and not reporting to the other 9.
Well, with this is like you have to look at it. First of all, Freddie Kitchens, as you said, is a rookie head coach. And
it just shows.
It's his first.
You should not be going to the media no matter what kind of displeasure. You go to the player.
It's his first
Especially
job.
A star player.
It's his first job, and this is the guy that he's handed. Now, don't get me wrong, talent-wise is unbelievable, but everything else, that's like the nightmare player that you want to have your first team with. And with the rest of it, him not showing up. Now, on Odell's side, it's like, why are you doing this? This is you don't know the offense. This is you just got traded to this team. You know nothing about this team. This is where you would want to first off show off to the other players that you're ready. You're here, ready to play for this team.
That you make more money than.
Exactly, and it's like, you have to be a part of this team. I understand if you're a 11-year vet, you've been on the team for all 11 years. Yeah, then you have guys like Michael Strahan that used to do it, sit out, not show up, work out on his own, and then show up later for the preseason games. But first of all, none of these players love these OTAs. Nobody does. Nobody does. Nobody likes the training camp. Nobody likes preseason games. But you got to do it. That's practice. It's practice.
Yeah. I'm able to tell about the Cleveland Browns that they're going to be one of the trickiest teams in the NFL this season on the basis of this. And there's no doubt that this team is a multiple-digit win kind
Absolutely.
of talent team. They on both sides of the ball, they really are a very talented team. They should win double digits this season. But if you go to Vegas and you go to see the under-over in the amount of wins for the Cleveland Browns this season, it's at 9. That just shows that Vegas understands that to some degree this team could implode. And it's not because of injuries or, maybe just losing tough ones, losing close games, stuff like that. What's going to happen when someone who has the mouth of Baker Mayfield isn't throwing the ball to someone who has the mouth of not only Odell Beckham Jr., but Jarvis Landry. All it takes is this team to stop winning one game. That's it, right off the bat, and this team will be in shambles. Now, right now, the key for the Cleveland Browns is to win and to keep winning, because that's how you get the questions from the media backed off. Questions like, what went wrong out there? Why wasn't Odell more involved? I mean, when Baker Mayfield gets asked questions, why wasn't Odell Beckham more involved? It'll be interesting to hear the answer to that. And unfortunately for Cleveland, there's just too many. I don't know how to really
loose cannons.
Different. I guess the best way to put different personalities, and it's tough to coach that, especially you have a rookie head coach trying to put that all together. And his first step to putting it all together is to see his own players. Yeah. And he said he just wants to see Odell Beckham Jr. and be able to interact with him and discuss about what they're trying to do this year. It goes right back to, can this guy get it all together in in his rookie season as a head coach? And just from the early standpoint, and we're not even in training camp yet, and you have negative things to say about your players to the media, the Cleveland media. So if it gets all the way back to New York, and clearly it's a huge story right off the bat, and now you have your team being spoken about in the media negatively. And the season hasn't even started yet. And the only way to brush all this off, and like I said, when you see all these guys on ESPN and everybody else, talking about this kind of stuff, this will all be forgotten if the Cleveland Browns start winning football games come September.
Absolutely.
But if they start losing, that's when these off-season issues continue, and they will come right back to haunt the Cleveland Browns. So what I see from the Cleveland Browns early on, and that these aren't even mandatory practices yet, they're in shambles already. This guy does not know how to handle the multiple personalities of his locker room. We haven't even heard Jarvis Landry, and I bet you every Cleveland fan is thank God that hasn't even started yet itself, because he's a whole other work.
Yeah.
So, and then you're going to have to try to get the ball to both of these players. It didn't make sense, Cleveland making this trade. And I'll be honest, I know you hate the New York Giants more than anyone, but the New York Giants were able to find a way to have better safeties than they did last year with an extra draft pick. And I can't remember the last time I've ever seen a star wide receiver be the vocal point in winning a Super Bowl. Randy Moss. Randy Moss, you couldn't be better than Randy Moss. Nobody could be better than Randy Moss.
Listen, I said from the jump that the Giants had to get rid of Odell if they wanted to take the next step. And
I'm just saying, you hear all this criticism about David Gettleman and what they did with Odell Beckham Jr. And everyone's criticizing what they're doing over there, but I've seen nothing but better things for the New York Giants. I see a better offensive line. I see a surprise decent season. I think their defense will have trouble. The safeties are better, don't get me wrong, but the linebackers are going to be, in the pass rush just in general is going to be a problem for the New York Giants. But their offensive line is developed. Eli Manning is going to have a good year. People think Eli Manning's finished. He's not. His offensive line was finished for a very long time. But now when you have a running back like Saquon Barkley, it takes a lot of the pressure off your quarterback, and we're talking game management at that point. Obviously, the management's going to be extensive on the basis that they're going to have to score a lot of points. But the New York Giants made strides getting rid of guys like, Odell Beckham Jr. and Landon Collins and just these voices in the locker room. I mean, Landon Collins took I don't even think he skipped a beat.
It was like the day of this whole Odell Beckham.
Of course, to talk. And honestly, now you look at what Freddie Kitchens is doing, and everyone thinks Landon Collins' statements were a negative impact on the New York Giants. It seems like they were absolutely correct about Odell Beckham Jr. and the attitude he brings in to the locker room, as opposed to, and again, I even see it as a New York Jet fan with Adam Gase. You want the right personalities in the locker room. You want the guys that love the game of football, that want to be there every day, that show up to every single voluntary camp because they want to get better. They want to win a Super Bowl. They want to make money. Now, Odell Beckham Jr., you made your money already, and you've proven the point on the kind of personality you have. You made a lot of money. You got a lot of guys on that roster that don't make as much money as you, and you're not even leading by example. So, Cleveland, good luck with that. Again, one-handed catches for days. I hope you do it forever, Odell. You're very talented, like he said. There's no questioning it. But the personality just does not fit any kind of locker room right now, and it really just falls on him, and he needs to look in the mirror at that point.
That's what's funny is because everybody's like, oh, well, he makes one-handed catches. It's like every single NFL player out there can catch a ball with one hand.
Well, there's no doubt that he's got a lot of talent. The route
no,
running, everything.
Don't get me wrong.
He's an amazing player. He's fast.
He's an amazing talent, and I can say it now because he's not on the Giants anymore. He's an amazing talent. Top 5 wide receiver in the league. But, it's just like, it's kind of like a good-looking person. Like, yeah, you could be a good-looking person, but if you have a crappy personality and you're just a crappy person overall, doesn't really matter.
Of course.
It doesn't really matter.
You've been listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.